It's the realest.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic, and what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you this brand new DJ Swivel plugin called Nocturnal. So I'm already a really big fan of DJ Swivel's plugins, and this is a particular plugin that I've been wanting something like this for quite a while. And what this right here is this is mostly for drums. You can use it for other things, but this is meant to tune your drums without changing the actual characteristics, without having to pitch shift it, without having to, things that pitch shifters do, or the tone knobs will do, where they change the transients, they stretch it, or they may change the characteristics or the fundamentals that we love about that kick or that snare. This eliminates all of that. And so what this does is this is a resonance enhancer. And so it's actually going to enhance the resonant frequencies of those fundamental core frequencies that make a note a note. So let's actually kind of dive into what this is. And so I got this on a track here. So let's go ahead and listen to it. All right, so now that we kind of know what the track sounds like, let's dive into this kick drum. And what I'll do here is I'll kind of remove everything that we did, and we'll just start from scratch here. So the main purpose of this here is we have this little keyboard down here, and we have a note. And you see, as I move this around, I can change the note. And also, as I enhance this, this is actually a gain slider as well. So if I play it and you listen to what it's going to do here as I enhance it. So you can hear what's happening right there. It's enhancing the resonant frequency there. We also have a Q shape here. So, the wider that we go, the less resonant it's going to sound. Right? Versus the more narrow. But what's kind of cool about the more narrow one is you can actually turn any kick into an 808. So I'm going to show you that real quick here. What we'll do is we'll increase the overall gain here, and then we'll just narrow the Q. I can go a little bit lower. And that's kind of cool too, because then what you can do is you can kind of create your own sounding 808s by taking your favorite kick drum and doing this, and now you have a unique sounding 808 that other people don't have, which is pretty cool. So up here too, you see that we have a subtractive EQ, which we'll get to that in a little bit here. For the time being, I want to focus here on what all this note action is, because that's the core of what this plugin here does. So you see we got some different options here. We've already talked about what Q does here, but this other knob that we have here is called focus. So you can see here, if we have this selected here, we can change where the actual focus is on the frequency. So we can go a little bit lower if we want. So obviously the lower that we go, we're going to either have more of a punch or we're going to have more of that sub. However, if we select this little link knob here and we link it, our option to focus goes away and it just stays within the actual note here. So if I have it linked here, what's going to happen is it's going to focus on the actual note that it is selected on. So you can see as we turn this up, the one that's at its highest peak is going to be the one that it's selected on. If I go down, you see the lower one is going to be the highest one. Versus if I unlink it here, now we can actually just focus on, different areas that we want it to be. As I go up, down, the lower notes, the gain increases. As I go up, the higher notes increase, and so on and so forth, right? So our range knob here allows us to choose how many octaves we want to push this. It will add higher and lower, upper and lower harmonics here. So you can see as I add more, we get a little bit more of that attack and that click. So for me personally, I'll probably stick to having a wider range just because I know that I'm going to want to have some of those higher frequencies going on there. Now, if we add overtones, we have the option to add more bands here, right? Or less, right? We can just focus on one individual note, or we can add multiple bands here, right? And we can add up to 30 bands. Which will be useful if we want to do things like add, again, attack or click. And if we change the cue here, we get less of a resonant sound, and we can get a little bit more of that air up there without it sounding so resonant or so pitchy, you know. All right, and then of course we have a subtractive EQ here, and it also kind of follows along with the notes down here. So if we hear an area that maybe, you know, we're pushing here and it's sounding a little too resonant and we're just like, you know, it's a little too much, what we can do is we can kind of subtract that down. We cannot boost, but we can subtract, which will help if a note is almost too resonating. See how I'm able to tighten that up a little bit? And if I really increase the actual note, we can tame that down. Now, usually I wouldn't subtract the same note that I'm going to enhance. I would usually kind of go around and find a note that I feel like is just being a little too much, right? So here's without it, and then with it, just kind of tightens that kick up a little bit. All right, but my favorite part of this is we can actually control this with MIDI, right? So if you take a look over here, I got a little MIDI track going here, and all I did for this, I kept it simple. You know, you don't always have to keep it simple. You can do something wild. But what I did here was I literally just followed the root note of the chord progression, right? And so if I go ahead and add this MIDI in, you'll notice as I play, these notes are going to change based on the MIDI. Right? It actually kind of moves around with it versus if we don't have the MIDI. And then we add the MIDI in. You can hear the change there. Now listen though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass this plugin altogether, right? Because I want you to hear what it actually is doing. Because not only are we being able to get these kicks tuned and in tune with the track and kind of have them be a little bit more a part of what's going on musically, but also you'll notice that it sounds tighter, it sounds punchier, it just has a little bit more impact. So here's without it. And here's with it. Again, without it. And with it. Right? It just kind of adds a little bit more to it. And, you know, right now it's a little resonant. We can always do something to tame the resonance down by making a wider cue. See what we just did there. And also, too, we can add some overtones in here as well. And all that's going to do is just kind of add a little bit more of that top end that we may want, just to kind of have it punch through a little bit more. All right, let's actually kind of listen to it in the mix here. And let's bypass it. And one more time in the mix. Yeah, it just kind of feels a little bit more in tune with the mix. It feels more a part of what's going on with the beat. I probably boosted this a little too much. I probably didn't need to go up by 6 dB. Probably, if I back it down to 4, it'll probably sound a little bit better. Right. And then one more time with it. So for me personally, I think this is definitely a plugin that I'm going to be using on at least every kick. I'll probably use it on some snares and some rim shots here and there, but definitely I'll be using this on kick drums. The last little things just to kind of note here is we do have a limiter here, and all that does, it just kind of limits the output. So if we want to avoid some type of unwanted distortion, we can do that. Right. And we also have a resizable window here, which is always really nice. A lot of newer plugins on the market, regardless of brand, have this now because I think developers are understanding how important it is to have this. So anyways, this is Nocturnal, the new plugin by DJ Swivel. If you're a producer, I definitely think this is something that you're going to want to grab and get. And also, if you're an engineer that works with a lot of melodic music or just a lot of music where the tones and pitches matter, I think this will be something that is worth getting. But here's the really cool thing, right? So I'm going to put a link in the description below if you want to be able to check this out. But DJ Swivel has given me a special discount for you to be able to save 15% on this. So it's actually already on sale right now. I believe it's $69. And eventually it's going to, that's like the introductory price. Eventually it's going to raise up to, I think, $99, so like $100. Right now it's $69. But with that being the introductory price, you can still use my discount REAL15. You got to type in REAL15 at checkout, but you can still get an additional 15% off on top of the $31 that you're already going to be saving of the introduction price. So be sure to use that. Click the link below and then use my code REAL15, and then that will get you 15% off of this. Let's actually see how much it's actually going to cost, because I don't know offhand how much that's going to cost here. Okay, so you'll be able to get it for $58.65 for a plugin like this, and a plugin that's that powerful. I definitely think it's worth it. So anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this plugin. If you're interested in it, let me know if you already have it and what your thoughts are on it. Let me know the type of things that you're planning on doing with this plugin. I'm interested to see what everybody says about it. All right, till next time.